For our Origins Gallery, found that it was important to recount the stories that we have displayed because they serve as the basis for the culture, for the community. They can be seen as the genesis or the origin stories of the people of the Potawatomi, of the Anishinaabeg. The stories recount from when the world was created to its first inhabitants, to its initial destruction, to its rebuilding, if you will, and to the gifts that were given by the Creator to the people to keep themselves in balance with themselves and in harmony with the world around them and with the Creator. So we really wanted to work hard on the audio elements of that, but also to have those work in harmony with the visuals as well. But being able to select those stories and having them condensed down into a viable display for people.
Blake and Kelly brought me on as animator for Mamogosnan's Gifts, and my job was to bring these stories to life visually. The style had already been established. Trey Delonis, the designer, had already established a particular look, a silhouetted style, and they had already actually animated the first half of the first video. So I came in, the process already started. So my job was to create all of the assets for the rest of the video and bring those to life with animation and with different color techniques.
We wanted to kick off the museum with the Origins Gallery, understanding that, again, these stories are the basis for the culture. They serve as the genesis, the jumping off point. We sort of see them playing that role in the museum too, and that we feel that people need to understand who they are and where they come from before they can learn what their role was and how they interacted with the world around them, and then how that plays into more of like a historical context when you're getting into that.
So all of the images are flat, but we wanted it to have a three-dimensional feel to it. So in order to get that three-dimensional space, I turned to one of my favorite directors, Ridley Scott, who uses different particles in the air all the time. Like, one of his best gags is to have some sort of particulate in the air, such as fog or snow or dust. Something's always blowing in the air to give a sense of space. And so I wanted to recreate that in this project to help give that depth to these flat images. And so the real trick was to create a sense of atmospheric haze. So as the mountains recede, it's a lighter and lighter color, or as a character recedes into the background, they get lighter. So using techniques that I learned from Ridley Scott, and then also Disney was a big influence in terms of their color palettes. They use real strong, vibrant colors to grab your attention right away. So we tried to do the same thing with these videos. The idea is to keep the detail very low, so these are silhouetted images. So the viewer is allowed to interpret these images how they will. It doesn't force a particular image or a particular person onto the viewer. So they're allowed to interpret in their own way.
A goal of ours for the video was to have them, again, adhere to tradition and being oral stories, so we had to have a Potawatomi element. These stories are told in Potawatomi, so we wanted to include Potawatomi language in the videos. We reached out to our language department and key staff there who were able to lend their voices to the videos. Primarily Justin Neely, the language director, was the one who did the voiceover work for the videos, did an exceptional job, and I think it really adds that cultural element that we need.
Gindaris, Kansas City, Missouri. Mina Edayan, Iba, Kansas City, Mamogosnan, Egi, Nishwabtek, Shechgot, Bawamshe, Emajian, Mina Navar, Mina DeGraff, and Mazodanik, and Denwin Mak. I didn't learn the language till I was older. When I was a child, I didn't know the language at all. And I remember going to a Citizen Potawatomi meeting that we had in Kansas, and I heard this gentleman praying in the language. And I was always very proud to be Potawatomi, and I always told people I was Potawatomi. And I realized to myself that, you know, I tell people I'm Potawatomi, but I don't even know the language. And so I asked my mom if she would get me some tapes, and she bought me some language tapes, and I started learning with those. And then I spent some time working with a fluent speaker, Don Pro, who lived up north, and that's kind of where I got started, and it's just, here I am today. So when I started out with in teaching the Potawatomi language, I worked for the Hannahville Potawatomis. I worked in the Natawash Public School. I worked there for 2 years teaching Potawatomi. And I was back home and I was talking to the vice chairman at one of our festivals, because I attend the festival every year. And I was talking with her and she said, you should come back and work for your tribe. And I got the opportunity to do that, and I've been here now for 13 years. So I worked with Sean and Blake. We worked together on the stories. I also did a lot of the language, coming up with the different words in the Potawatomi language, and also did the sound, the voice for the display. It was a challenge somewhat because we had to take these long stories and condense them into something much smaller, but not lose that essence of that story, so that we really got a concise idea of who we were and where we came from as Potawatomi people. It's important to incorporate the language into these displays and these exhibits because the language was truly a gift to us. It was a gift from the Creator. And whenever we speak our language, even the act of actually speaking our language is actually a spiritual act. And so when we speak that language, we're remembering our ancestors, we're remembering that gift that the Creator gave us, and acknowledging that. And it's good that folks can come here and they can hear some of that language. So today you have different pockets of Potawatomis throughout the country. There's 7 different groups of Potawatomis, and each of them has people, tribal members that are involved with their language. They're trying to preserve it, trying to carry it forward. Within my own life, I always speak the language with my 5 daughters and 1 boy, and whenever I go to my home, whenever I go inside my home, I speak Potawatomi with them all the time. It's hard sometimes to remember that because you have so many outside influences. You have media, TV, radio, all these different things, and they're all in English. And so it's hard sometimes to remember to just speak the language with your family. But there are folks that are trying to do that are trying to bring the language back. And within our own community, we have groups of folks that are dedicated to learning it, that want to come to class, that want to learn, that want to carry that forward, that want to be able to say when their grandkids come to them and say, hey, what does it mean to be Potawatomi? They can say, hey, this is part of it. This is our language. This is who we are. That they can still pass that beautiful gift that was first given to us by Mamogosnan onto their kids and grandkids.
For Mamogosnan's gifts, there was a lot involved. It's a lot of steps to get each video done. You have to create all of the assets, which is all of the images on screen. A lot of times I would just do a simple sketch, simple outline, and then take that into After Effects and trace it, and use different techniques to animate that and put them in 3D space, and just add different layers of color and make a color palette that's appropriate for the story we're telling. I've been involved with art as long as I can remember. I got involved with drawing comic books in middle school, and moved into making home kung fu movies with my buddies, and I've been involved with video production for 20 years. So having the opportunity to animate 8 different short films was a dream for me.
The artifacts that we selected to supplement the stories are those from the community that were donated to the Cultural Center. Our goal for the gallery itself and the use of the artifacts is to show that these stories translate into real-world context, that they play a major role in what cultural activities that people still do today, from the basketry that we see to the turtle shaker that's used in ceremony, to the paddle that is used, one, to tell stories, but also to help navigate and propel travel. Each one of them plays a particular and key role in helping, one, again, supplement the story, but help, sort of detail sort of the physical attributes that come out of them. Tailing the 7 Fires prophecy in that particular gallery, one of the key stories that fits into this sort of series of origin stories, if you will, was the migration of Potawatomi or Anishinaabe people from the East Coast to the Great Lakes. They were to look for a land where food grew on water. That food is translated or understood or interpreted to be wild rice. We found it extremely important to display that, and understanding the importance of what wild rice has played in the development of the culture, the way in which it's still utilized today, but the way in that it creates community and cultural bonds. The image that was chosen behind the wild rice display was created by an artist named Seth Eastman. He was in the U.S. military, and after that he sort of developed into an ethnographer, to where he would do field research and capture field sketches. And this particular work of art was a field sketch of 3 women who were on the lake harvesting wild rice.
So there's a young tribal member who was immediately attracted to the videos and watched them intently for a very long time, until her parents finally had to almost drag her away. And she very much loved watching these videos so much that they asked if they could have a copy, and we got her a copy so she could watch them. But that's extremely exciting for me to think that these videos do have an impact for the children of the tribe or young people who watch them.
The overall goal of the gallery is to let our tribal membership understand who they are as Potawatomi people, where they've come from, and how they are bonded with other Anishinaabeg in ways of Ojibwe and Odawa people. But to understand their origins as a people, and the path that they've walked along, and those connections that they feel not only with other Anishinaabeg people, but they feel with people in this community. And hopefully that they can take the lessons that they've learned from these stories and pass them on to their children and to their grandchildren.